Most people don't know this, but the biggest thing blocking your growth isn't your past. It's your ego's fear of change. Although most of it, or at least part of it, is based on the past and what the ego has learned in the past. And the biggest reason really for the ego's resistance to the change is that once the ego has learned something, that refers to the past. So once your ego has learned something in the past, it really wants to be right. We all want to be right. Nobody really wants to be wrong. And that's the ego saying, okay, I know this and I am right. And therefore, whatever new information there might be available, first of all, the ego's tendency is to just not even realize the new information. And even if it realizes that there is new information available, it rejects it. So this is why people stay stuck for years, even for decades, and don't feel like they are moving forward with their growth, even if they really somehow want to. So the ego kind of like forms a perspective, a lens through which we view the world and our life. And once that perspective has been formed, the ego wants to hold on to that perspective because it wants to be safe. That's the main purpose of the ego. It wants to keep you safe. So therefore, you don't have to really hate your ego. It is there for a good reason in this life that we have. Its main purpose is to keep you safe. However, the thing is that keeping you safe mainly really means also that it disallows your growth. Meaning that, okay, so change is scary. Change means that you have to give up on something and take something to replace it. And again, the ego wants to be right once it has formed its perception. So ego really is a survival mechanism. The ego's purpose is not to help you grow. It's really to keep you safe. So the ego kind of like wants you to hold on to the old identities that you have formed or the ego has formed in the past. And changing that identity means that the environment, your friends, your co-workers, your parents or whoever, they will kind of, or the ego thinks at least, that they will view you in a different way, in a different light, and they might start to think, what is this person trying to do? What is this thing? And the ego might think that they think that, man, this guy is totally just, stupid, or what is he trying to prove? Oh, and so on and so on and so on. To be honest, who cares? You are in charge of your growth, not them. So the ego wants to hold on to the old identification and keep you safe from any ridicule from the environment and so on. Just stay safe is the message of the ego. And this, by the way, is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people stay in an unhealthy relationship for way too long. Because even if you know really that, okay, so this relationship is not good for me, the ego wants you to stay in there. Because if you get out of that relationship, who knows what might happen? Is it really safe? And even when you, in some level, also know that something better must be waiting outside of that relationship. But no, ego says, stay there. Same goes with some, let's say, like work. Even if you hate your work, the ego says, oh, don't resign, don't quit. You will get poor. How will you ever get a new job? And even though if you hate your job and you know there must be something better for you, the ego wants you to stay in your present state, present job. The same goes with habits. For example, like eating habits or whatever, habits you have that you know are not good for you. They are unhealthy. Let's say you have like unhealthy eating habits, or you don't exercise although you know you should. But your old habits, having the cheesecake while watching reality TV, then keeps you safe where you are. Even though, like I said, no, this is not really good for me. But it's safe. It's familiar. So the ego really is in charge of all the procrastination that you might have. You kind of know, okay, so I'm gonna make that change. I'm gonna do that. But let's just wait. Maybe the time is not right. And so on. So you procrastinate. And that's the ego's way of saying, stay where you are. And it's also the self-doubt. Your beliefs about, am I really worthy? Am I capable of doing that change? And so on. What do you really believe about yourself? About other people and the world around you? Those are your beliefs. And the ego wants to hold on to those beliefs. Sometimes the ego shows itself as overthinking. You might think, okay, you get kind of like intuitive feeling of something better, something that you should do. But then the ego steps in and starts to overthink. Okay, let's analyze this thing and really think. And while you do that, you procrastinate, you start to doubt, and so on. Instead of just, taking the chance and just see what happens. The ego is also your defense against any kind of attacks. Any kind of other people's opinions that might conflict with your perceptions. And even if those opinions might be very helpful, then the ego steps in with its defensiveness and say, hold on. How does this person know, or whatever? You have already learned in your life, this is the safe way. And then you also compare yourself to other people. Of course, we all want to be better than other people. But the comparison is really blocking you from growing. It's not really the comparison with other people that you need. It's the comparison with yourself. How can you be a better version of yourself today than you were before? And who gives a damn what other people think about that? Or how you compare with others? It's senseless. So one of the very effective ways to kind of start to tackle the ego, well, although it's not a really good term to tackle the ego, it's more like letting go of the ego's grip and allowing new things to happen to you. So these are some of the things. Whenever you feel fearful about basically anything, it would be very good for you to stop and really think, okay, hold on. What does this fear mean? What am I really afraid of? And you will most probably find that it is your ego's fear that is like saying, stay where you are. The same goes with the procrastination. When you feel and realize that you are procrastinating with something that your intuition kind of tells you that this would be a great step, and I would be curious to find out what happens if I did this. And then the ego makes you procrastinate. So again, stop and really think, hold on, what is behind this procrastination? Most probably, again, there is some kind of fear of the unknown, or just to keep you safe, even if the safe is not the healthiest, the best way for you. So there is really a difference in the emotional states and how you feel those things in your body. Intuition, inspiration feels totally different from the safe, the procrastination, and mainly those feelings that the ego keeps you in. So when you learn to really detect the inspirations and the lightness, pretty much, that most often comes with the inspiration and intuition, then when you start to follow those things, the lightness, the flow of things, and just let go of the ego's resistance, I think you will find that very interesting and nice things will happen. So a good question to ask yourself is, what am I afraid of will happen if I grow, if I make changes? And whatever the answer is, whatever the fear behind it is, ask yourself, is it really relevant? And is it just something that kind of like wants to hold you where you are? Keep you safe. Safety is a big, big blockage to your growth. So what do you think? What kind of fears do you have? What is really holding you back from your growth? I would be really, really interested to hear your thoughts. So please give me your comments below. And also, if you like these kind of topics, then please subscribe to my videos or start to follow my videos and whatever, because I have already posted quite a lot of these kind of topics and content, and I will keep on doing that. So thank you very much for watching this one, and be well.